Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hi there, it's Rita at the Travel Nurse Channel. And if I sound a little funny, or if I do a little sniffling, it's because I have a little cold. And anyway, nothing to worry about. It's not COVID, and yeah, just a little frog in my throat. And I wanted to see you all today. So I'm directing my thoughts and my broadcast today to primarily recruiters. And it's important to nurses and to travel staff that they have a lot of confidence in their recruiter. And to newer recruiters or to older recruiters in this very competitive market for good nurses, I think it warrants checking in and what is going to be really key and important. And I didn't even list it because I think everyone knows that being a good communicator is key. And I sound so odd to myself. I hope I sound okay to you. I didn't take any meds either because they make me so tired. So I did all that holistic stuff. So this is the best we can do. I got to run out and get some cough drops, but I did the steam and I did the eucalyptus and drank a lot of tea and a lot of liquids. So I hope I sound okay. Let me get my little notes in front of me. I didn't put them on the computer. I just put them on my notebook. So today's topic is for recruiters. I thought I'd throw in 5 tips, but of course under each tip there's some information that I want to throw in there as well. And overall, communication is key, but that isn't one of my primary. Oh, good grief. My chair's breaking down by the moment. All right, so the first one I thought was customer service. Absolutely have to have focus on customer service and deliver it, okay? So if you are talking to a nurse, maybe that has traveled with you before, or maybe is somebody new that you're recruiting, you do want to mention some of the advantages maybe your company has over others and what they are. And a good communicator is always going to listen. So deliver that customer service, and that should be focus number 1. And if, as part of the customer service, some questions come up from the nurse or healthcare traveler that you're recruiting, and you don't have the answer, be sure to deliver it as soon as possible. Don't make a note or post it and then clean your desk and forget about it. You want to deliver it ASAP. A lot of times, oh shoot, let me, this is open line. We're open for comments, and somebody's saying hello. Franklin Donaldson, hi. Hi, thanks for checking into the Travel Nurse Channel. For example, even on this broadcast, if I don't have the answer today, if somebody asks me a question about rates or about recruitment or anything in the travel realm, and I don't have the answer, I usually will preface my response by saying, I will get back to you today or via email if you send me your email, or at least within the next 48 hours, and or if I don't have a personal way to get in touch with you, I will answer that question in the very next broadcast, which is weekly. Now that would be a bit long. If you're recruiting a nurse and she has questions about the unit she's planning on contracting to go to, and you don't have the answer, like maybe the question is something about what is the general patient to nurse ratio on that unit? And you don't have the answer, but you have lots of communication with the nurse manager there, and you say to your nurse, your potential nurse that you're recruiting, I will get back to you as soon as possible, but no later than 48 hours. If 48 hours have passed and you don't have the answer, if the nurse manager isn't responding to your emails and your calls, you've gone to maybe, you know, like a director or somebody, and you still don't have an answer, you get back to your nurse regardless and say, look, I'm still working on this. I haven't talked to the manager, but I did talk to the director. She believes this is the answer, but I want to give you a definitive answer, so I didn't want you to keep waiting. It's in the works. So communication, delivering that customer service, top of the list, got to focus on that. And there you go. You can look up customer service on Google. You can look it up on any of the nursing websites, and there will be details about customer service. But response, information, listening, any and every question, concern has to be addressed, even if it seems silly. Do they only wear blue scrubs, or can I wear navy blue, or can I wear, even if they just seem like, insignificant to you, if that's a question that the person you're recruiting is concerned about, you do want to respond to it, and ASAP. Focus number 2. Okay, so providing excellence, right? Providing excellence to the person you're recruiting is a 3-person focus. So, of course, oh, hello. Somebody else is saying hello. Very nice. Javine Thalpa, hi. Thanks for checking in. And hey, if Javine or Franklin, if you're recruiters and you'd like to be on the show, please know that I can very easily send you my link, and you can be live on the show, and we can talk about what you know about recruiting travel nurses. But if you're a nurse, whoever you are, if you're a nurse, if you're a therapist, if you're a technician, if you work in healthcare, if you are interested in traveling, I welcome guests on the show. So so give me a holler after the show, 800-737-6518, and we can get you on our very next show. Okay, my second focus, very, very important, is providing excellence. Yes, excellence for the nurse or the traveler that you're recruiting, but excellence also to the nurse manager for the unit they're going to be headed to, and also service excellence to the patient. So you have to consider those are your top-notch provisions. You're providing excellence to the nurse you're recruiting, and included in that picture is excellence for the patient and excellence to the manager. You're a patient. Oh, hello, Franklin. Well, I'd be interested in a patient perspective as well. Thanks for checking in. Wow. Okay, so the nurse recruiter has a strategic partnership with all 3 of these people: the patient, the nurse manager, and the nurse that they're recruiting, because everybody needs to be on the same page. I've talked about culture in the past. Culture is key. What is the culture on that unit? You definitely want to know what the manager is looking for. And the manager's a busy person, managing her staff, managing her unit, managing the various departments that she works with, and her director and her, hospital leaders and so forth, or clinic leaders, or wherever this job is. So if the manager just says, look, I need a nurse I need a nurse on May 15th. I need them for 90 days. We're very, very busy. Telemetry unit, we do post cabbages. We have lots and lots of skilled people here. What have you got? Okay, so it's a high level telemetry unit. So it's like a step down. If they're getting post cabbages, say 2 days, maybe the first day they spend in the ICU, the second day they come to your unit. These are patients that require a lot of technical evaluation and care by a nurse that is experienced in that area. So, so you already have a picture of the nurse that you need, but you don't have the total picture, you know? So you have to have your strategic questions ready for that nurse manager. And so one thing you might want to ask is, what's the best way to communicate with you? Do you prefer calls, voicemails, emails, text messages? How does that nurse like to communicate? What's the best time to communicate with you? This is a nurse manager that's doing 8-hour shifts. You may have the opportunity to contact her one or more of those 5 days that she's on duty. If this is a nurse manager that works 12-hour nights, it's a little trickier. Those 12-hour nights could be 7P to 7A, and you're kind of a 9 to 5er. You've got to figure out when is the best time, and you're going to have to make room in your calendar to coordinate with that nurse manager. So you really want to be strategic in your communication with the nurse manager, because that's how you can best find the right nurse. And if the manager just said, I need a strong nurse, I need her on this date, we're a very busy unit, we're post cabbages, we do all kinds of cardiac surgery. My nose is starting to run and I'm starting to sniffle. I apologize. I actually don't even know. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Oh, Franklin is a patient, and he was a nursing assistant back in the early 2000s. How interesting. Well, I hope you're feeling okay, and I apologize for my sniffles. Yeah, so back to the communicating with that nurse manager, you have questions ready, like, well, what does your unit thrive on? Efficiency, cohesiveness, what is the busiest time on your unit? What additional skills would you like that the nurse I send you to have? Do they need to have certain certificates? You just want to have very specific questions, because you want to provide the right nurse for that job. You want it to go smooth. You want to meet all the needs. And coincidentally, some of the same questions that you're asking that nurse manager are going to be the same questions you ask the nurse traveler. So what do you thrive on? Do you thrive on being really busy? This is a really busy unit. No, I really like a more relaxed pace. Maybe this isn't the job for them. Knowing the patient population. Oh, yes, you do cabbages. What other kind of patients do you have? You know, do they just have somebody that's being monitored for AFib, asymptomatic AFib or PAT or whatever? So recruiters, you really have to have those strategic questions ready, because you are providing excellence not just to your travel nurse that you're recruiting, but to the nurse manager and to the patient. So understanding all three of those populations and having specifics about all three of those populations is going to be a very major focus. And I call that focus number 2. Oh, gosh. I have many, many symptoms. I'm not terribly sick, but I have many, many symptoms. Coughing, sneezing, sniffling, chills, and of course I'm drinking ice water because it's soothing. Okay, focus number 3. And this was a compliment that I got a few years back, and I wasn't sure if it was a compliment. It was from a nurse manager that I've been working with for per diem nurses. And she said, Rita, I really like that you're so transparent. Well, maybe she didn't say I like. She might have said something more like, "You're so transparent, Rita," with a straight face. And it was hard for me to know. And I went back and talked to somebody I knew about it, and they go, "No, no, that's a compliment." So transparent kind of is synonymous, I believe, with honesty. You don't try to hide anything. You want to be transparent the entire throughout the relationship. You want to be consistently transparent. So that's focus number 3. I wrote a note to myself. Don't try to sell an 8-hour shift to a nurse that really wants to travel and do 12-hour shifts. She told you what she wanted. He told you what he wanted. So that's what you work on. If you have to sell some 8-hour shifts, go to the next nurse, and find somebody that's really interested in 8-hour shifts. Gosh, I thought about not broadcasting today because I'm kind of messy with these cold symptoms, but there was no advance notice that I could give you. I was sick yesterday and I thought I'd be better today. Anyway, lucky you're not in the same room with me, because if I'm pretty germy, I don't want to share it. All right, so be transparent throughout the process. If another example, a nurse wants 12-hour shifts and you're trying to sell them 8-hour shifts, just say, "Are you interested in this or A or B or C?" They already told you what they're interested in. So you want to be transparent. So, I do have a lot of 8-hour shifts right now, but I'm going to look hard for you to get you what you want. You want a 12-hour shift. Another piece might be, I lost my train of thought. Oh, days. You might have a night nurse that's only interested in nights at a specific hospital, and right now at that hospital, all you have are day shifts. Be transparent. Just say, "I know you want to go to university, blah, 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 in Montana. However, right now, believe it or not, they don't have any night openings. They just have day openings." So, transparent. Transparent means being honest and answering questions directly. If the nurse is, or the traveler has questions about the company, the rates, anything like that, you want to be transparent. You want to give them the information they're seeking. So that's focus number 3. You want to have direct questions, because if the nurse was like, say, the manager that just said, "I need a nurse, it's a busy tele-unit, we do a lot of cabbages, I need them May 15th. That's minimal information. Same thing with the nurse. If the nurse isn't transparent or just is new to this process, then you have to do more investigating. So you want to ask the nurse, what works best for you? Will your family be traveling with you? What works best for your family? It's going to apply to so many aspects of the job itself, where they live. So you need to, I don't want to say educate, inform a newer traveler or a newer recruit to a newer candidate to you. So you just building a relationship, it's getting to know the person. You're going to have a most successful outcome when you have the most information. Hey, Franklin, you keep checking in. I'm in Southern California, and you can email me, Rita, R-I-T-A, at travelnursechannel.com, where you can call and we can talk further about what you're interested in. So thank you. Thank you for checking in. Yeah, being transparent means being honest, getting the information out there, seeking the information from the nurse, guiding the nurse, the traveler, on what's going to work best for them. What they may not be aware of, what may or may not be important to them in the contract, If they haven't stated it, if they just say, I'm really eager to travel, I've got experience, I'm a strong tele nurse, what do you have? Then you want to encourage them to say, well, I have lots of things in that particular state. Can we narrow it down to the northern part of the state, the western part of the state? You might want to say, are other things important to you besides the salary? Let's see. You might want to say it's, are you interested in health insurance? Are you interested in transportation when you get there? Are you interested in tuition reimbursement, licensure, certificate information, reimbursement, and so forth? So find out what's key to them in their contract. Are they open to, after the 90 days, would they be open to extending? That sometimes your experience with this particular client is that they remain busy and they like that option to keep somebody for an extra couple of weeks or 4 weeks. How do they feel about that? A variety of things that in your experience as a recruiter wind up being important to the nurse should be part of that conversation. And if they go, gosh, I've never had a recruiter ask me so many questions, you let them know the reason you ask questions is that you're quite transparent about what's going on and that you can fulfill a more comfortable, a more successful assignment for them with the maximum amount of information. So, so I feel like focus number 3, being transparent, feeds all of these things, feed into that bigger picture of good communication. Now, some of you might find that focus number 4 should be focus number 1. It is important, but I feel like the other things are equally important. And so in any particular order, these top 5 that I'm discussing today, you can put them in whatever order you want. I don't think you should leave any of them out. Focus number 4 is about salary and negotiating salary. And you need to, okay. Okay, Franklin's asking me some questions here and telling me where he's located and enjoying the broadcast. Franklin, I don't have any nurses. He's asking if I have private duty nurses. No, this is a central site for sponsors, recruiters, anybody that works with travel nurses, and for travel nurses to meet up. So this is a conduit of a place. I don't actually employ nurses myself. I am a nurse, and I have recruited nurses for years. I've been a nursing administrator. I've been a clinical nurse, a nursing director, a nursing manager, and so forth. So, so this is sort of a home away from home for all of the people in that industry, particularly the travel nurses and the travel healthcare workers. So you can go to the website and you can see who some of the sponsors are. And thanks again for checking in. Okay, where were we? Salaries, salary negotiation. It is important. It is important. And so you as a recruiter are going to advocate for your RN. And that RN may be a male RN or a female RN, maybe a male CT, CAT scan technician, maybe a respiratory therapist, could be male or female. I mentioned male or female because it's interesting in this realm of salary and salary negotiation that a huge percentage more than 10%. It depends on what site you're looking at and where you're getting your information. Could be 4 times more, could be 10% more, but generally male travelers are more interested in negotiating the best salary than it would be like in the high 40 percentile for men and in the low 30 percentiles for female travelers. So something the recruiter can say is that we should probably talk about salary, and we should talk about you and your skills and what you bring to the table. And then I know when I go back to my client, my nurse manager, and the hospital that we're going to send you to see what's important to them. So for example, say in your last travel assignment, you worked on a unit where by the end of your assignment, they were working to, say, catheterize less post-op patients, right? So whatever you were doing, the skills that you were using, you and the team on that nurse, that you had a positive outcome, that 40% less patients were catheterized post-operatively on that unit, and you were there during that study. Get some documentation on that, because it's the selling point. There's so many selling points that you may or may not be aware of. I think the sneezes are coming on. So it's important for you to know how you were able to improve patients' experiences, how you were able to improve patient outcomes. And if it happened while on a travel assignment, all the better. But wherever it happened and however you were instrumental in having it happen is important. So your accomplishments do count. And so you do want to be able to not only have them on your resume and have documentation about that, but you also want to focus on them verbally when you talk to your recruiter. And recruiters, it's important for you to draw that out. That's why you are, that's where you want to brand yourself as that super communicator, because you recognize when you have a good nurse on the line, excuse me, that they haven't told you everything. So you have to draw that out. By the way, what kind of, you work in the ER? Are you carrying any special certs? Well, I have my PALS and I have my TNCC, and all of a sudden they have this list. And you notice none of that was on the, you see their ACLS, you see their license because that's what they filled in. But then maybe their resume hasn't been updated. They've got all these other wonderful, wonderful accomplishments, and you want to advocate for them to get the best possible salary. Maybe it isn't salary that is important to them. Maybe it's perks, Maybe they are more interested in tuition reimbursement. Maybe they're more interested in license reimbursement, because if they're traveling out of state, which a lot of travelers are doing, some travel within their state, like states like California. You could travel to Southern California and live in Northern California. But at any rate, find out what is key to them and let them know. Even if they haven't mentioned it, say, look, I'm going to ask you a variety of questions, because we could possibly, when you start to talk to them and realize what their background is and where they've floated to and where their skills are, that you can probably do your very best to negotiate them a higher salary or more reimbursement, tuition reimbursement. Maybe you're working on your master's. Maybe you're working on some other certification in nursing. So it's important to you to work at a teaching hospital. Find out. The more you know, the more you draw out. And you actually want to encourage the nurse. Say, look, I want you to advocate. I want you to tell me when you think of a really skillful nurse and what you learned about that nurse, look in the mirror and tell me about you. What's special about you? What have you done? Have you saved a hospital money? Have you saved lives? Do you have letters from patients specifically singling you out for the best care, for helping them recover much quicker than they thought they would? These things count. These things count, and they count for focus number 4, which is salary and negotiating the best salary. Let's see. Any other messages coming in here? Boy, thank you for checking in, everybody. Now, this is going to be really important. It's probably a moot point for most of you because you're younger than me, but it's something I really have to continue to teach myself about and learn about. And recruiters in 2022, focus on technology in recruitment. Technology. Technology is your pal. Technology is your friend. Now, it really is important. This gets back to the client you're working with, the nurse manager you're working with. Are they interested in entry level? Are they interested in, maybe they've had success before and they're interested in new grads, newly licensed grads in nursing or another area. Could be ultrasound, could be something else. Very, very important to use your technology. If you are recruiting a entry level, if you're recruiting a newly licensed grad, then there are certain places you're going to go where you're going to get that information that you wouldn't necessarily look at if you were recruiting somebody with experience. You would look at universities, academic programs, all the places where the newly educated nurse is going to be found, right? Those organizations, those programs, universities, the colleges. You may want to build some relationships there with some of the professors or their HR department there. You may want to actually, I don't know if this is a little bit, let's see, a little bit cagey. Not really cagey. I mean, I used it in my practice many, many times when I was recruiting nurses for per diem jobs, but I was able to do it because I am an RN. So I would apply to someplace and see what the treatment was, to see how the recruitment worked. And interestingly, I did that at a hospital where I was very happy being a per diem nurse. And they said, oh, we'd really love to get you on staff and so forth. And so, okay, because that would be good for the person that was encouraging me to do that. They usually would get some kind of bonus. And I contacted them. Weeks and weeks and weeks went by, and they didn't get back to me. So threw in the towel. I stayed as a per diem nurse because I thought, if they're not going to focus on me now in the beginning, when I've just, just contacted them, what kind of response am I going to get going forward? And I was very happy being per diem, actually. So, and recruiters, you could do that within your company. I believe you could. You could go, apply as though you were a nurse to your HR department, if that's where it starts, if that's where the recruitment starts. The nurse is coming in, looking at your company and said, hey, I'm a nurse interested in traveling. Can you get back to me? I'd like to know what your company, blah, 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 company ABC, has to offer for nurses that travel. And HR does nothing. And you would find that out if you did that applying yourself. So you look within, right? Okay. Say that your client is looking for experienced nurses. They need nurses in their ER and their ICU. They have several positions open for travelers, but they only want travelers with experience. So then you have to search. Social media is great. You have to navigate a little differently than you would for the newly graduated licensed nurse, because there you were looking at looking to the universities and the programs for those nurses. Now you're looking for the experienced nurse. So there's multiple websites. Nurse.com comes to mind. Many, many, many nurse websites. And you want to see. And you want to see where, the League of Nurses, the National League of Nurses, the American Nursing Society. You want to look at those societies and see who's there and what the hub is. And you want to find nurses with experience. So that's, you want to use your social media, and probably you know more than me. I mean, YouTube is out there, LinkedIn is out there, many social sites. Twitter, you can find nurses and you can find information by using social media. Maybe on your website, you could broadcast, what you're looking for, what's next, what's the next best assignment out there, and intrigue nurses to contact you. So use your social, you have to use technology. You have to recruit specifically for assignments. So know what kind of experience they have, whether they're willing to float, what experience, like if they're labor and delivery, do they do postpartum as well? Do they do nursery as well? Do they only do labor and delivery? If they do labor and delivery, do they scrub for C-sections? Do they what do they call it? You have the scrub nurse and you have the float nurse? No, what do they call it? In the OR, scrubbing is just doing the specifics. And then I want to say float is not the right word. That's a senior moment. But you want specifics. You want specifics about the nurses that you're recruiting and what their experience is. So labor and delivery, yes, that's important. They're an experienced labor and delivery nurse. But what are their experiences? Do they do C-sections? Do they go into the OR? Do they scrub? Do they circulate? That's the word. Oh boy, stick with it. The synapses, they're slower. Oh boy. Yeah, then my technology is your friend, and I don't know if I speak out of turn when I say do some investigating yourself within your own company, but I did that. I did that myself, not with so much within my own company, but as a per diem nurse, looking to see what other per diem or other employers were doing and what their response was. And it was very disappointing in this one very nice hospital where I was being encouraged to leave my per diem job and go on staff. And I actually considered it. I was happy doing what I was doing. But they never got back to me. And then I tried twice. After like 2.5 weeks went by, I thought, oh, okay, maybe somebody got sick or somebody quit or whatever. I'll try again. Nobody got back to me. I even physically, when I was in the hospital, went down there and nobody was in the office. I threw in the towel. But technology is your friend. So I'm going to recap here. See if I'm getting any more messages. Let's see. A couple of hellos. Okay. Yeah, we'll recap. So focus number 1, deliver customer service. So not only focus on customer service, but deliver it. So we talked about that. In your communication, if there's a question you cannot answer, you want to give that information as soon as possible. You don't want to fudge it. You want the real answer. So you give, whatever you say, 24 hours, or if it's a Friday afternoon, say, look, I'm going to try my best over the weekend to get to that nurse manager. But at the very latest, I'll be contacting you by noon on Monday. So there's a little window there so the nurse can count on it. And fortunately, usually have a couple of weeks while recruiting a nurse before the actual assignment starts. So you will get that information. But if it's really key, like if they're looking for a day position, all you have are night positions, and they ask you, what are the chances of me between now and May 15th of getting a day position at that hospital? You already know. You've only gotten requests from your client, from your nurse manager for nights, but you don't know until you ask. So you don't even want to say a percentage to your nurse. Actually, your nurse as a traveler has been doing primarily nights, but they really want to make that switch to days. So you do the best you can. It's Friday afternoon. I will try to get through to my nurse manager. If I do not, I will get back to you at the very latest by noon on Monday and see what's going on or what they anticipate before May 15th. So here we are. It's April 19th. Got about a month. So maybe you'll get that information in the next, 3, 4, 5 days. But you will try, and you want to get back to your candidate that you're recruiting ASAP. So usually 48 hours is a good window. But if you can say it's Friday afternoon, you give them that window, and you talk with the manager at 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon. She goes, you know what? I don't anticipate having that need by May 15th, but I do know I have somebody leaving on the 30th. So if they want to push off till the 30th, I can guarantee 12-hour day position starting May 30th. So you get right back to your nurse. You give her the information. It may be good information, it may not. They may be really interested in traveling on the 15th. So then your possibilities become, well, what about not hospital A, but hospital B or hospital F? Same town, different hospital. You just have to listen. You just have to be dedicated to focus number 1, which is customer service and getting them what they need. That customer service, you just can't make it up. You just have to deliver it. You have to deliver it each and every time. So if you have this travel nurse and they had a great experience, you'll have that travel nurse again. Focus number 2, excellence, 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 excellence. And excellence is not just to the nurse you're recruiting or to the traveler you're recruiting, but that's always going to include the patient, the nurse manager, and the nurse. They all three there has to be something cohesive that works for all three. So, so excellence to all three groups is going to get you that best nurse to travel. Here's the thing, recruiters. It is a complex, multifaceted job you have. Is it easy? It gets easier. You'll find out how good you are at it. You will. There's some excellent recruiters out there. And it's knowing the needs of the manager, the nurse, and the patient population, and doing what's best for that group. So you're recruiting a nurse, but you're providing excellence to that group. Equally important. All three equally important. To know what they thrive on. You have to know what the culture is. You have to know specifics about the job. Does it appeal to that nurse? What's the top thing that manager seeks in an employee? Because essentially, the traveler you're sending is going to be their employee for 90 days that they're there. I'm starting to lose my voice. Focus number 3. Be transparent. Be honest. And keep it up. Don't fudge along the way. Be transparent throughout the process. Right? Okay. You just got to know. You just got to know. And if the nurse you're not recruiting is maybe shy or quiet or a person of few words, then it's important for you to ask the key questions. What works best for them? What works best for their family? Tell them how you operate. Does that sound good? I usually make my calls in the morning. I speak with the managers in the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, it's like open mic. You can call me anytime. I set aside these hours for phone calls. You just explain to them, be transparent about how you operate. And if that's how you do it, if you do set aside certain times or certain days, or in this particular case with this particular manager, you say, you know what, I always hear from this manager at this hospital on Thursday afternoons. So if you want more information about that hospital, Thursday evenings or Friday mornings are going to be best because I'll have fresh information from my manager. So just Be transparent. And the nurse is like, well, why can't you tell me now? Well, because things change. And I always have that conversation with that manager on Thursdays. So if anything's changed or anything's new, or she needs 3 people instead of 2 or 1, I'm going to have fresh information for you right after I speak to that manager. So just be really transparent. Be transparent about the salary. Be transparent about the hours. Be transparent about how you operate. Find out if it works. If you need to make adjustments that work better for that nurse, do your very best to do that. Okay? It doesn't seem like, it seems simple, but I think when you say it out loud, it seems simple, but maybe you're focusing on other things and forgetting these sort of top key things. Be transparent. Focus number 4. What else is important? Salary. Salary. And negotiating the best salary is very, very key. It could be as much as $5,000, you know? So say this is the salary. This is the salary that your manager's offering. This is what she's been doing. This is what her, her hospital allows or her clinic allows. Talk to that manager. Say, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I have some people in mind, and you will be really impressed with what they've done. They've done all this as far as patient improvement. They raised the HCAHPS during the months of December and January when they were there. They were instrumental in that. They were instrumental in some study. They actually carry, in addition to their ACLS and their license, they carry this cert and that cert. They're educators. All those pros say, I really think if you want this nurse, if I think this will be a really excellent nurse for you, what can we negotiate? What can we offer? What do you have? And then you go back to your nurse and say, look, I need documentation on ABC, all these extra certs and all these studies and your patient accolades. And yeah, salary is important. So you really want to be an advocate for your client as well as an advocate for your nurse and get the best possible salary. And the nurse may or may not bring it up, but as you, particularly if you're recruiting somebody new and just getting to know them, what kind of travel have you had in the past? What was the feedback? Do you have any positive evals that we can look at? Were you involved in any studies? Do you have any additional certificates? There's lots to be said for that. So volunteerism is a plus. So so salary is focus number 4. Got to focus on that. Do your best with that. And then finally, focus number 5 is technology. And technology is your friend. You will use your technology. It'll be your pal. And you will use different pieces of it when recruiting for different styles of nursing. Some of your clients are going to be really interested in the new grads. They've had success with that before, and they have a good mentorship program. So where do you find that nurse? What areas of social media are going to provide for that kind of a nurse? Nurses with experience, you want to use more technology. You've got to use all of the different websites and sources and resources like LinkedIn and above and beyond that. So yeah, hope those tips were helpful. Hope I wasn't I'm a little hoarse and I'm a little silly today. I lost some words there for a minute. Anyway, it's been my pleasure to be here for you. We are the Travel Nurse Channel. If you'd like to be a guest on the channel, please give me a call or email me, rita@travelnursechannel.com. My open line is 800-737-6518. If you can't join me on a Tuesday, that's okay. We can archive it. We can record it at whatever time or day that you would like to, and then broadcast it on a Tuesday. That's about it. Have a beautiful week. Thank you for all you do, you wonderful recruiters. Hopefully that wasn't too mundane and repetitive for you. I know you're wise, and I know you do a good job, but don't you want to be the best person? Don't you want to have the best brand? Just those simple communication and transparency, advocating for best salaries, all good stuff, right? Okay, check us out every Tuesday between 10 and 11 Pacific Standard Time. And I'm going to sign off with my little commercial. Thank you so much.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.